That's why this works. That's why this works.
Oh, no.
Make comics. Hey.
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I am also wearing a new T-shirt today.
I can't wait to see it.
You see this? This is the Toronto Baseball Club from 1923.
So good.
This is the Toronto Maple Leafs, which held the name. The baseball club was actually the first to have the name back in, I think, 1902, before the Leafs, the hockey team, the more famously Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team, was able to call themselves that as well. Yes, Jason, you have a question? Audience.
So the baseball team, it was called the Toronto Baseball Club? Toronto Baseball Team? What was it called there?
Yeah, this is the Toronto Baseball Club,
right.
But there's
was their
Maple
nickname
Leafs,
the Maple Leafs that then became their real name, sort of?
Could have been. Maybe started as the Toronto Baseball Club. In fact, most sporting clubs started with that type of name, formality, right. Or a sporting club of Toronto or a baseball club of New York or whatever happens to be.
At the same time, I love the idea that, we think of the blue and white as being not exclusively, but primarily the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team. But of course, when they chose those colors, it was a conservative move, given that the U of T varsity already wore that, and the Maple Leaf Baseball Club already wore it. So it was sort of like an elite Toronto sport brand unofficially to wear blue and white, which I think is cool.
And has continued, right? So
yes.
Not only with the first incarnation of the basketball team, the Toronto Huskies, that were in the first game of the NBA back in 47 or whatever it was. But obviously the Raptors have that legacy now being Toronto's team in the NBA. But as the Huskies, they were blue and white and played at Maple Leaf Gardens. And I think the Raptors sometimes wear throwbacks, and they've got the blue and white Huskies logo and color scheme going on. And then you're right. So every major and even minor sporting. I mean, TFC wouldn't have that, obviously.
Right, and even back when we were kids, the Blizzard,
Toronto
the Blizzard
Lynx,
did not wear.
Yeah, for sure. But
they're trying to set
you're
themselves
right.
apart, which I appreciate too.
But you're right. That is a commonality with sports in the fair city of the Big Smoke.
What are you drinking today, man?
You'll be proud of me. Coffee.
What? I thought today we had you for sure, because it's not tea time though, so maybe you get a pass. But I thought because it's not tea time, it's lunchtime, you would give me the runaround and actually finally have tea at not tea time. But since it's not tea time, I'm having.
What do you got?
Coffee.
Coffee, yeah.
Yeah.
Still, it's
today,
it's that last cup that was in the coffee maker in the morning that I tend to just kind of draw out for the last hours of the morning. Right. I don't tend to drink coffee past noon.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that we've been putting out a webcomic that's now available. 4 days of web panels, new comic store, Peregrines, the obstacle course. More panels coming today, more panels coming tomorrow, more panels coming Sunday, more panels coming every day in February.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This was your brainchild, and how's it going for you? I mean, you're working with panels every day. We're connecting, obviously, but really, like, how's it going for you?
I like the idea of drawing exercises. I like the idea of daily drawing, and I like collaborating, and I love that you are open to collaborating in multiple ways. It's drawing digitally at that speed is a little new too, so I'm experiencing some physical side effects from it, which are manageable and predictable, and so I love it. I really just love the practice of letting go, the practice of saying, okay, I've hit my limit, I'm done. 15 minutes of drawing, like, got to get it finished. So I like the discipline of that, and it kind of affords me and anyone doing this the freedom to draw messily, make mistakes, and put your mistakes out there. And I just think there's something really fun about not putting out your prettiest pictures all the time. Right? There's something neat about that. I like comics that have an edge of expediency to them. But there's something to be said for a gesture drawing and getting things done in a timely fashion. So I like the form of this, but I'm also really digging that you and I are talking about it every day too, where we're talking about, hey, look what this, a daily comic, how it changes storytelling, Maybe I'm taking too long to get to an action beat. Maybe I'm putting in too many panels, but there isn't time to delete yet. Like, we'll see it by the end of this 84 panels. So we're like, oh, we didn't need 10 of these. We could have told it tighter. And then by the end of February, we are both better comic makers from that exercise of saying more than we need to say, drawing more than we need to draw, writing more words than we need to write. I remember you were giving me a dialogue bit, and I was like, well, if it looks like the Alps, do we need to say it's the Alps? And you're like, no.
Fair point.
Right. No, but that's the whole point is, like,
I agree.
our instinct is to say more than we need to say. You and I both. We're both verbose people. So this is a great exercise in deleting and expediency. And so I like that a lot. So I'm loving it.
Nice. Making comics is a long process, or can be a long process,
right?
Depending on how you approach it. And you and I have been talking about Peregrines for 2+ years. We were in the middle of Group of 7, and then we came up with this other idea, and then started sketching out, and so to see it now live, out there is super exciting. Makes me love the characters more because you have a sense of removal. Like, so writing the script for the 4 issues, over the last 2 years or so, we went back and forth with sketches and concept and all those pieces, and we're going on this path together. But then to see it live again, I felt the same way with Group of 7. The first web pages were out in 2017. It's live, it's real, it's out there. And with Peregrines, with this exercise, really, this daily exercise, it's just super exciting and fun. And then people are engaging as well. I mean, I'm looking at our channels, and I'm seeing folks engage with us and talk about what they're enjoying and talk about what they're digging about the daily comic. And it's a really nice, it's a great opportunity to storytell, to challenge ourselves, and I think most of all, me to have fun with it. And so for me, it's right. So for me, it's just every day. Like, I super look forward to it. I look forward to our conversations anyway every day.
Clearly,
but this is just great, and it's been a really nice development. And I want to just kind of build on something you said about when we were going back on dialogue, just saying, do we need this amount of dialogue? Because really, again, for us, we're learning. It's about becoming economical with our product and our output. And, just to that idea of, do we need to say this in literal language, or can we show it with the medium as well, the comic book, the actual graphic, right? So that idea of, which seems silly to say out loud, the format actually dictates that particular approach. But when you're creating and you're writing and you're trying to put down those words on paper, you're trying to construct scene or plot or dialogue, it's really actually quite, like you're going through the process of like, oh no, we're actually going to show that. You're like, oh right, because it's an actual graphic medium. Like, it just kind of gives you.
It makes me think of Captain Underpants. Have you watched the movie or the cartoon show?
I have.
I imagine your kids
both.
like it. So you know how the kids go into Treehouse and make comics. Yeah. And if we were to watch them, develop their comics over their childhood, we are those two guys in that. But by now we're only a couple of years in, so it's cute when like a 13-year-old figures out how to innovate to improve their procedure, their process. But when like 40-year-olds figure out the same thing that a 13-year-old figures out, it's not as cute, but it feels just as good to us. So I'm enjoying that side of it a lot. Our Captain Underpants moments. Again, I am wearing pants.
Great, good,
right.
Good confirmation.
Thank you.
Everyone is wearing pants.
It needed to be said.
Needed to be said.
I have a history.
The other thing too about the comic is it is in, it's got color to it.
Right.
So that's how best to describe that? Like a sepia tinged. I don't know what's the actual.
It's a gray blue.
Gray blue. Okay, gray blue.
Went in the Photoshop, chose a blue, and then moved it toward the gray until
gray
I just said stop. But I can always change it if we want to. There are no rules. Like, let's just say, yeah, of course. Listen, Chris. So again, the people that are watching are going to catch this, but it's okay if we spoil a little. One of the conceits of the comic strip is that each of the characters in Peregrines is going to get a run. They're going to basically hand the baton off to each other as the story goes to complete this obstacle course of sorts, this metaphoric obstacle course, and we can change what that color is each time. What? Just thought of that, right? This is writing happening.
That just happened.
It can. I mean, why wouldn't we? It would clarify to the reader that there's a different point of view, or that we're following a different character. And then what happens if they're ever on the panel at the same time? What color would that be? And
Rainbow.
If you say 4-color, I was
going to say rainbow. Right.
So we could, and we really wanted to, for the last few days, do a wilder color, but something to think about. Yeah, this idea of change the color 4 times as we go.
Well, and we've talked about that too in terms of looking at the 4 issues that will be coming out about Peregrines, about associating each one with specific color palettes.
Right.
For that particular reason, actually, kind of. I think the example that we like to go back to was the Darwin Cook's Parker series, and how specific color palettes. Right on your shelf, not on mine because that's like a whiteboard of work. But on your shelf, and each one having a specific color palette or a shaded color palette that's just associated with the book, and so it's kind of a nice. It has a bit of finality to it, and it has just a bit of and just that acknowledgement, that association of that story with that particular mood, tone, whatever it happens to be.
So it serves as the gray, right? It serves as the mid-tone, like you're saying, and it gives me it basically does what the ink wash does, in that it gives you something else to look at to help create shape and depth, and complement and contrast with the line work. I think looking back, I overused ink wash in our first 6 comics, like not really understanding how gray gets used in black and white comics. I've spent countless hours in the last 4 years looking at black and white comics and watching videos about them to understand them better, because it wasn't something that I ever read leading up to Group of 7. I mean, other than Sin City, which is like a stark black and white, there isn't use of a gray medium in there. But Miller was able to use his both blacks and whites to create grays and midtones through things like the way he uses line. You can go take a look if you're interested, or one can. But I never really looked at I never understood what screen tone was, or how other artists did use ink wash sparingly. And so I've as a visual artist before all of this, I was I like the impressionistic style where it's like a lot of non-committal. It's sort of like leaving things open to interpretation a little bit, leaving form a little open to interpretation. So committing to a black line has been a really good challenge. So the ink wash allows me to still do a lot of that wishy-washy imagery, but it doesn't necessarily make for good comics the way that I draw figures. Right? The figures are much more solid. They're a little bit more animated in style. Like I both love that Bruce Timm, and Darwin Cook animation style. So it doesn't necessarily match well. So it's doing this blue-gray is forcing me to reevaluate the use of midtones in a regular and iterative fashion, where I'm like, okay, how does it work in this day? How does it work? I got 15 minutes. How does it work now? And I'm gonna get better as we go with it. But I'm finding it really interesting how to use white more, how to use black more, and how to use these things all sparingly. Anyway, it's tons of fun.
Yeah, it is, and it's also part of learning out loud, right? So we get to your point, develop. We get to play around, and we get to do it in a public way that we can see what lands, we can see what we like, we can see what we don't like.
It's seemingly public. I mean, I don't know how many people. I like to think that no one's watching. I like to think that no one's reading. And that way I don't have to think about how many people see my mistakes or our mistakes. And that's a little bit liberating. I don't think at 13 back to the Captain Underpants kids, which I know are younger, but by the time they were making comics for this many years, I'm assuming they're a little older, in my little head narrative, I wasn't ready when I was young to show my mistakes the same way as I am now. And I'm hoping that, you can relate to that in some way, and that people are forgiving and they're like, oh yeah, it's part of the natural process. But as a kid, I had probably no patience for that. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
getting old.
I think it's probably, I think it comes with, age and perspective and
Maturity, yes.
And maturity as well. So, yeah.
What you reading this
My
week?
reading? Oh, I'm reading, actually. I'm reading a ghost story. I'm reading Lola,
Right.
which is by our buddy Jay Torres, really great Canadian writer.
Whitby, Ontario, represent.
Whitby, Ontario. And also Elbert Or, I guess is the artist on the book. But it came out 10 years ago. And so they released a 10-year edition, and it's
cool.
It's a really great, creepy, kid-based story that's based on Filipino folklore. And I love it. I dig it. It's great to see. I mean, it's again just the idea of digging into the creepy pasts of cultures around the world. Right, is the way to for that purpose. Really great pacing, great storyline, and I think you and I both have an affinity for kid protagonists.
Sure.
Right, and so just finding their way through, right, figuring it out, and it's a great book, not just for kids, but for 40-year-olds too.
I love the young protagonists. There's something archetypal about that we all connect to them, right? They engage readers and viewers fast if you have an open heart.
Which we do.
Yes. I have a gaping wound. Is it the same thing?
I don't know if that's the same thing. What about you? What are you reading right now?
I want to shout it, but I want to blow the microphone volume here. I'm reading
Murder
Falcon.
Murder Falcon.
By Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer. And I just started reading it. This has been on my to-read list for a long time. I've had a couple of reading sessions, and it is wild. Without spoiling anything, it's about a dude who can summon a monstrous combative cyborg falcon when he plays his guitar, and he can use that to save the world. And it is wild. And Daniel Warren Johnson, who you and I both know from Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, he has a very particular style that really incorporates frenetic line work and sound effect and motion lines into his figure drawing and his scenes, which is very different than what I'm used to, and I'm enjoying the variety. Tons of energy, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm definitely going to share this with you if you don't pick it up on your own. Murder Falcon.
Murder Falcon. I also believe that Spicer is also part of that Wonder Woman Dead Earth team.
Should we assume?
Maybe.
I'm going to take a look right now, just the credits quickly to see.
Maybe.
He's the colorist.
Okay.
You've got my.
I've got your copies.
Yeah, so I can't. I'm not going to quickly look, but I'll take your word for it. Why wouldn't they work together again? Because we all know that good collaborations are worth maintaining.
Now, is that a new book, or did that come out before Wonder Woman?
Prior. I think this might be the book where he gained the most notoriety in a good way, like fame with readers. People often think of this as sort of, that's his, because it's his property. And, I know he's done a Star Wars comic and, of course, Wonder Woman, which are not his properties, but Murder Falcon is all his. And it was, Eisner nominated. It's from Image, but from Skybound is the particular branch of Image, which is Robert Kirkman's imprint. So fun comics, coming out of Skybound, usually. So that's very cool. Murder Falcon.
I just like saying it.
Falcon. Of course. And in terms of things we like to say and hear, what are you listening to this week?
I'm listening to a new single that from a local Guelph musician named I don't know if I get his last name right, but it's Matt Monoogian or Monoogian. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Gian. I'm gonna go with Monoogian. Anyway, he's got a new single that sounds like a blast of spring in February with twinkly pianos and sweet harmonies, and it's called Any Day Now, One Day Now, something like that. I will. I'll make sure that it's in the. I'll make sure it's in our write-up, our notes for this episode. But just came out. I heard about it locally. Saw it on Bandcamp, and it's the perfect kind of antidote for a wintry, blustery, gray day.
Right.
So that's what I'm digging on right now. And yourself?
I'm listening to on repeat, as I often do. Like, I'm inundated with it in a good way. Dartmouth, Nova Scotia's own Joel Plaskett's triple album set called 3. So it's 3 albums, and it's wonderful. I love it. I always have. I always will. Yeah, it's like one part demo, one part love letter to classic rock and all of its offspring. And yeah, it's really a good cross section of the genre of rock and roll in a really broad sense. And it's like a very confessional. I mean, I'm imprinting upon it. I'm projecting. So I hear lots of confession, and it breaks my heart, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
3 is really good. And there's this motif going through the whole set of records where he will call songs the one word 3 times, like run, 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 and then say those things in the song. So he's playing with the idea of how many times he can, in triplicate, say these lyrics. I love it. Do you have that one too? Do you listen to that?
I do. I often joke. Danielle and I, my wife Danielle and I, often joke that we're both huge fans of that record, and that Penny is our wrecking ball in a summer dress. She'll be that through and through. Yeah. So she's our wrecking ball in a summer dress, and yeah, that album. And considering it's a triple album, I mean, you think, well, do you have, how much of it can you absorb or digest or enjoy? And the answer is 100%. The whole thing it is wonderful. And I just remembered the title of the song, "One Like You." It's called "One Like You." Not Any Day Now. I don't know what I was thinking about, but all to say, yeah, you and I have been on some kicks lately of just kind of like great Canadian music. I mean, we're often, you and I both often, our headspaces are there, and we gravitate towards and enjoy that. But, whether it was last week with Sloan and Tons, and this week with Plaskett or some local music, the commonalities, the themes there are just a lot of, harmony focused, whatever it happens to be. But
sing-along and guitar
sing-alongs and power poppy and all those great things. So
yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just brings me back to that representation piece. I was weaned on the classic rock stuff, so Beatles, etc. And in the 90s, coming into my own in terms of my musical taste, finding out that there were bands making music that I liked that were alive and active, and they were local, blew my mind. And I've loved Canadian local music ever since then. I loved seeing and hearing things from my own experiences reflected in the work of better artists. It's wonderful, and it melts my heart every time.
Yeah. And it just brings that sunshine in, right? That just feel good, man. Makes you feel good.
Happy belated birthday to your son, by the way. It's always good when Harry's birthday comes around. Crazy decade, huh?
Crazy a decade.
Yeah.
Now, and it's great too because he's also kind of getting into comics a little bit, which is kind of fun. So it's fun to like do that journey with him, and find those books, and whether it's something like Lola, like to read together, or whatever else. He's a big Jay Torres fan. He's a big Planet Hockey is his latest one. Big fan of that one. Anyway, a few others, but it's a blast. So I think I ordered my last order from the Dragon. I ordered some short boxes for my comics. And I ordered him a couple too, because he asked. He's like, but I have some, and I want to put them in a box. I'm like, okay, this is how it begins.
Does he have? Are you getting a short box with a picture on it, or
no? I think I just ordered just a couple of just plain ones, and then but I'll look for one maybe that's he might be able to put some of the special comics in, because we've been to the Dragon sale a number of times with our back issue sale, and he's sought out and found like a whole bunch of number ones, which are like, I think the one that he has right now that he cherishes is Adam Warlock -- 1, right? Like just after the Infinity Gauntlet saga, they released, right? I guess so. He's like, oh, it's number 1. So he's very very keen on keeping that Adam Warlock in great condition. So both of us, both Jason and I, are participating in MSU, that's Michigan State University's Comics Forum, which is an annual comics festival, chat, panel, celebration, artist alley. It's happening Feb 26th, Feb 27th. It's all online, all virtual. But we are participating on a panel about, or actually it's a lightning round. It's a lightning round with some other creators talking about comics in Canada specifically. So our buddy Scott Chandler will be there, I think, along with us. Yeah, well, he's not our buddy. We'll see. We'll find out after this lightning round goes down. And a few others. And yeah, we're so excited to participate and be part of this very cool mix of, comics and academia and just, all of it, all the above. And there's some amazing creators as well attached to it. Check out MSU Comics Forum online. We'll share more information on all our socials coming up soon, the next couple of weeks when we confirm all that piece. But we're there. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to the conversation, looking forward to sharing more information about what we do and contributing to that conversation about comics in Canada. If you have any questions, drop us a line. We are on all the socials at Group of Seven Comics. Info at group7comics.ca. Hit up our website, group7comics.ca. Gumroad store to get our latest digital edition of the trade or order a physical copy from our website. We're also available Comixology, also available on Spinwiz. Have I forgotten anything?
Yeah, go Leafs, man. You see that victory last night?
Go Leafs.
Or at least the highlights?
Spezza.
You see Spezza's third goal?
Woo. Yes. All right, you take care, pal.
Cheers, man. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Talk to you in 5. Bye.
Yeah, bye.